Show on the
We're
road.
live on YouTube.
All right.
Okay. For the record, I just ate a half an apple. And I like that recorded. So for our friends at home. So let's, I'm going to call the finance meeting to order again. It's now 1:32. And we will resume the finance meeting. First thing is, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Motion by Mr. Bruno, second by Mr. McDevitt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, let's get right into it, gang. They always save the best to last. That's us. Number one, request for transfers of fund as attached for committee approval. We need a motion for that. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. McDevitt, second by Mr. Bruno. Discussion? Okay. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, number two, requests and items to be discussed by the county administrator, Mr. Moore. We'll go 2A. Mr. Moore?
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions on the journal transfers? They're in your packet. Hearing none, move on to 2B. The county administrator's budget for next year is fairly simple. There is a slight increase in my contractual request, and that is related primarily to supplies for the cap court. And we also added back travel expenses that we had cut out during COVID. The next division, mailroom, is fairly flat to last year. And there is an increase in the print shop, and that is broken out under the comments to show you it's the calculation behind that. We would go from $72,000 to $98,000. I'm rounding here. And that's based on our print contracts coming to an end and needing to redo those for next year. They come to an end in the middle of the year. And then the final division is the legacy costs that are associated with the Westmount nursing home. You see that the budget request for that is almost $200,000. The balance that's in the Westmount reserve, which was set up at the time of the sale to pay these legacy costs, the balance in that reserve is $4,143,402.
That was a great job. I'm not saying it the correct balance and so forth. So do we need a motion to approve?
Nope.
No, that was just discussion items. Thank you. Okay, any questions for our county administrator? Seeing none, we'll move right along. The next item on your agenda is number 3, requests and items to be discussed by the county treasurer, Mr. Swan.
Nope.
Pardon me?
We got more.
Oh, did I skip something?
Mhm.
What did I skip?
CD and
So you got C, D, and E.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Just C, D, and E. That's all?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
like to, anybody have a problem not doing E because everyone who was here for the last one is still here. So I think we could dispense with E.
Okay. Any objections on getting rid of the E?
No, let's do it.
Okay.
Now, C and D, your agenda packet has what we're talking about here. This would be an appropriation from fund balance in the general fund, $224,565 plus $22,600 in the road fund, plus $170 in the equipment fund, the road machinery fund, I should say. If you flip later on in your packet, you'll see all of that totals up to $247,335. This started as an exercise to cut expenditure requests out of the 2022 budget to help the budget officer balance the budget. What these represent is expenditure requests from various departments for one-time equipment for the most part. You can see purchasing needs a new time clock, buildings needs a refrigerator, microwave, 3 vacuums, and so on. It's all spelled out in there. Now, there are 3 pieces in here, and they're bolded so you can see what they are, that are not requested in the 2022 budget, and they're also were not requested in the 2021 budget. These are just larger items that have come up that we know we have a need. And I figured if we're going to do this exercise, essentially what we're saying here is rather than appropriate fund balance and buy all of these one-time equipment expenses in January, we're just going to do it now because you got departments that need new desks, new chairs. We'll appropriate the fund balance now. We'll do it now. We'll pull it out of the next year's budget. And as long as we're doing that exercise, I figured we could throw these other three items in for discussion. The first one, information technology, $47,000. This is a licensing one-time cost that we would need to upgrade the email server. We've been doing a whole lot trying to get our IT on a more solid footing. The treasurer spoke earlier to the audit, the outside auditors, emphasizing not just to our government, but to all governments that we should be doing more to make sure that we're secure. The second item, the sheriff's department, they have two variable message boards that have essentially, they're older boards and they were heavily utilized during COVID and they're at the end of their life. So that would be the approximate cost to replace those variable messaging boards. And then the third item is Countryside Adult Home, $30,000 total for a tractor. And that's a tractor to do their maintenance. It's been a request they've had for a couple of years. And the reason it's showing there is 15,000 is because there's 50% revenue associated with it. So that's my request. It's to, and we don't have to do those final three items. We can discuss that if anybody's got a problem with it. But it's to do all of those purchases with a fund balance appropriation. And then item D, to the extent that there's revenue associated with those same purchases, it's just to amend the county budget to add the expenses and the revenues.
Discussion, Mr. McGowan.
Yeah, thank you. There's two blinds in that,
No,
for this room? Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Mr. Bruno.
Well, that too.
So the funds come from the general fund balance?
correct. Yeah. And the road fund has its own fund balance and the next fund has its own fund balance. So those portions would come from those particular fund balances.
Thank you.
Machinery fund. I always want to say equipment. It's machinery.
Further questions? Okay, seeing none, you need a motion, Mr. Moore,
We
to
would-
approve this.
We would need a motion to approve the fund balance appropriations for those purchases. And we would also need a motion to amend the budget to recognize $24,750 in revenue and expenses.
I'll make that motion.
So motion for 2C or 2D?
Both.
Both. Okay, motion to combine the 2C and 2D. Do I have a second? Mr. McDevitt's a second. Okay. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Thank you, committee. Appreciate that. The departments are excited to be able to buy these things now rather than wait until January. And it does help us get the balanced budget for next year. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Okay, Mr. Swan, sorry for the second
Delay.
request.
Yeah, the delay that's only been about 2.5 hours.
Is that all? It was more like,
Good afternoon. My budget for the treasurer's office. First thing I want to say is that the one that you have now and you're looking at has been, it's a little bit different than what was submitted to the budget officer because we filled a vacant position in my office and one of the rare instances where the person came from another department. So they're actually making a little bit more money than the person who left that position before. So there's a little bit of an increase in the personnel salaries because of that. I'd like to start with page 3 of 4, which is my expenses, just to give you an outline. They haven't changed a lot. My repair and maintenance and equipment, that's basically the software maintenance for the New World software package that we use, the financial package for the entire county. Contracts, that's basically made up of the fee that we have to pay for our outside independent audit every year. That's required. That contract actually expires this year and it is going out to RFP. I believe it's been sent already, hasn't it? Yes. Okay. So we may have a new auditor next year. We'll see what happens with that. The other thing is postage has gone up quite a bit. And the main reason for that is all the mailings we've had to do for the short-term rentals. We've done a ton of mail to people to try to get them to register. Any questions about anything on the expense side? All right, let's go to the revenue, which is the fun part. All right, and I get to that page here. Starts on page 1 of 4. I just going to highlight a few things as we're going through this. If anybody has any questions, let me know. One thing you'll see, the first item, which is gain sales of property tax. That's the annual auction that we do of foreclosed properties. It's a zero amount for 2021 because the auction won't be for another couple weeks. So we actually obviously haven't collected any money. Sales tax, this is this is a big portion of the income. What we did is we estimated a 1.9% increase over the actual collections of 2019. Now, what usually happens here is that our budget officer reviews that and he will make some adjustments sometimes on that figure. Supervisor Thomas likes to work with that as best he can, but being conservative and doing it the way we're doing it, going back to that last full year of collections to judge an actual percentage increase is why our fund balance and everything else has improved, because we've been able to actually end every year with a plus in that figure for quite a few years. The Occupancy Tax Administration, that's down a little bit because it's 3% of whatever was collected in the previous year. And obviously 2020s were down. So the amount that we're going to be asking for is down. I would like to note that when I came into the treasurer's office, that figure was 10% of what was collected. And we had at my request, had the local law change to drop it back to 3%, just to give a little bit more money into the occupancy tax. Interest on our accounts in the banks, obviously interest rates have dropped, so that we're projecting a drop in that. I don't know if there's anything else in particular that you can see. Gifts and donations, $30,000. That's money that comes, basically it's a check that the treasurer writes to the county from the Tobacco Corporation management fee, because there's usually a surplus in there. So that's donated to the county every year. The tobacco settlement was up considerably in 2020, mainly because there were more people smoking during the pandemic. They were all sitting home, so they were all smoking. So there was a lot more because we get a percentage of the sales. So we've kind of moved that out, and we've projected back to our normal levels of about 390,000. That's about it. I mean, is there anything that somebody sees that they want to ask me a question about in the revenues? We try to project them. I try to be very conservative with them as I possibly can. Frank.
Yeah, on the occupancy tax administration, that's based on the prior years
Yeah.
collection? Well, this is 2020 for 2022. Let's let it be 21. We're looking at 5 million, so maybe that could go up.
We do it on the previous full year of collections. So we project the 3% is on 2020 collections. So, but yeah, next year, it's going to be a bigger figure.
That's right.
Any questions from the committee?
That was a good job, Mike.
Thank you. I love these long silences.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
either we're reading or we've fallen asleep. I'm not quite sure.
Oh,
Mr. Bruno.
So is that revenue total, is that an actual total or is some of that projected?
Which for 2022,
Yes.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, it's all projected.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Swan, great job.
Thank you.
Mr. Rob, great job.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rob.
I hope you don't mind if I don't stick around for the rest of the meeting.
Well, we, you know,
Audrey loves company.
I know you do.
the entertainment's coming on shortly, so I'm gonna eat a whole apple.
Jack Diamond said he slept with his car.
Okay, next on the agenda. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Number 4,
I might-
referral from the County Facilities Committee. It's chaired by our own Mr. McGowan. Is Mr. Mapp on Zoom? Was earlier. He's not here now. Well, I'll just read what it is. It's a request to increase the capital project H403, the rehab airfield taxiway lighting in the amount of $262,968. Is there backup on that?
Chairman Beatty, this is Superintendent Hajos. I'm here.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ajos. Could you comment on that 4A?
Sure, I could. This is a request to increase capital project H403, which you read for the rehab project, taxiway lighting. This is the receiving of the grant funds for the construction of the project.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I could have answered that, so.
Motion by Mr. Thomas, second by Mr. Bruno. Discussion. Okay, hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, 4B, Mr. Hajos.
Or this one is a request to appropriate the funds in the amount of $13,000, and I apologize because I'm driving to a doctor's appointment. I couldn't stay in the office any longer. $13,149 from budget code 892 reserve airport for the local match for this project, and it's basically to transfer to capital projects 899.50. And this was not taken through committee. We had taken the original resolution up above, and Rob Lynch was so kind to tell me that we forgot to put this in. So we're adding this in as part of it. But this would cover the local match for that project.
Okay. Somebody like to move this? Moved by Mr. Thomas, second by Mr. Bruno. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hajos.
You're welcome. And I'll continue to stay on for DPW, but I will
Well, without
be walking into my
objection,
doctor's office, so I may not.
without objection, we can jump to DBW so we can allow you to have some time at the doctor. Do we have any objection on that?
Nope.
None.
Okay, so let's go to number 8 on your agenda, please.
So 8A and 8B are both requests to amend the budget in the amount of 1742.50 for 8A, and I believe 138.10 for AB, and this is just for insurance recoveries for guide rail damage.
Okay, do I have somebody who wants to move that by Mr. Bruno, second by Mr. McDevitt? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 8A is carried. 8B,
8B, I'm not sure if you did them both together. 8B was the second insurance recovery that I said was $138.10.
we didn't do it together, but we can right now. Motion moved by Mr. Bruno, second by Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Carried. C,
And C would be a request to increase capital project H34 for County Route 11 Finkel Brook. This is the bridge culvert replacement, and this is just to increase the capital project for the grant funding.
okay, moved by
So
Mr.
moved.
Thomas, second by Mr. Bruno. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do you, okay, thank you. You have a question, Mr. Moore?
I do. I apologize for the interruption and I'm sorry to catch you blind on this, but we do have a quote for blinds if you would like to add the blinds.
Yes, we do have a quote for the blinds.
Okay, we have a quote for the, are
I'm
you,
sorry, we gotta stay awake any way we can. It's $4,245 for blinds. If you want to add them into that prior resolution, we can do that.
Put it in.
okay, do I have, Mr. Thomas, would you like to make a motion to add that to our prior resolution?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second? It's seconded by Mr. Bruno. Do I have any discussion? This is adding the blinds bid into the last resolution.
Now, are these insulated
I-
blinds?
Mr. Hajos?
Yes, number one, they're not insulated blinds because we did all the insulation work last year, so we do not require to have insulated blinds in there. They are, I guess I want to say, sun reflective, solar type blinds where you'll still get the light through these blinds, but it will not allow that bright light basically that glares the screens and such on that side of the room. And furthermore, I know Ryan Moore gave the cost that may be reduced from that. Ryan, I'm not sure if you quoted it or not, but if we install them, there's a $550 discount to that cost.
Are they a honeycomb or are they?
Do you have a question, Mr. McGowan? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry. Are they a honeycomb type, blind? Or are they a vertical blind? I want the proper decor here because I have to look at them.
They are not blinds, they are shades. And they are made out of a durable fabric that can easily be cleaned.
Okay,
Any-
thank you.
Any other, thank you, Mr. Ajos. Any other questions on the shade/blinds? Yes, Miss Chairman,
I can't, believe
Chairwoman.
I'm gonna ask this, but how old are the current ones we have now, Kevin?
Mr. Ajos, could you answer?
They were most likely installed in the 80s when they did a first window replacement on the county center.
Okay, I just want to highlight that I'm full support of trying to update this, not only for the issues, but being hybrid, hoping to continue this for a few more months, and then who knows how long this lasts in terms of the hybrid meetings. And it is something that would be very helpful, but long overdue since the 80s. So I would support that.
Amen.
Okay, very good. So I will now, seeing no further discussion or hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Mr. McGowan, you have a separate question?
I do, and I just want to thank our county administrator for accidentally finding that at the last minute. That was a good interruption. I feel so much better.
Okay,
I'll
very good.
interrupt you with the cheese next time.
Amazing how that worked out, huh?
All right. We're on to number 5. Referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee. It's chaired by Ms. Hogan. Is she on?
Thank you, Kevin.
She is. Ms. Hogan.
Hi.
There you are. Okay. What do we got here? 5A.
I don't have it in front of me. You read it.
Okay, I'll read it to you.
Thank you.
Maybe Liza's on. I don't know.
Without-
Oh, okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we'd like to table this. This needs further work. Some of the numbers in the attachment were wrong. Liza's going over it with the treasurer's office. She'll check in with the chairwoman about it, and we'll bring this back next week.
5A and B or just
Just
5A? 5A. Okay, Mr.
Bring it
Moore, like a table.
You'll bring it back next week?
Yes,
At what meeting?
finance.
Finance.
Okay, thank you.
We just can't meet enough, Ms. Hogan. Okay, all right, so I don't need, do we take a vote on the, I need a motion to table this. Motion by Mr. Bruno, second by Mr. McDevitt. All in favor of tabling 5A? Say yes or aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. 5B. Is Wayne on? Yes, Wayne, I see you on there. There you are, Wayne.
I be here.
What do we got with 5B?
This is to accept a grant award from the state of New York under the CARES Act program for the MER 13 air filtration requirements at Countryside. And it's to establish the local CD 77 account to administer those funds and receipt those funds from the state.
Okay. We have someone who wants to move this to a motion. Mr. Thomas, second by Mr. McDevitt. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Wayne. That was easy. We're on to number 6. That's a referral from the Health Services Committee. It's chaired by Supervisor Frazier. And Rob York, it's a discussion. So let's, is Ms. Frazier on? No. How about Mr. York?
Nope.
No.
I'll make this motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Bramer. This is 6A. To request to authorize the appropriation of funds in the amount of $110,000 from the general fund appropriated surplus to budget code A 4390435 psychiatric experience / criminal medical fees to cover the cost of mandated chargeback expenses for court-related New York State CPL 730 competency examinations and restoration for the remainder of 2021. That was a mouthful. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Bramer, second by Mr. Thomas. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's 6A is carried. 6B,
Chairman, I'll make a motion for 6B and 7A and B. They're
Okay.
all receiving funds.
okay, they're all receiving funds. I see we have Ms. Jones on there. Did you, Ms. Jones?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. There's a motion on the floor to combine 6B, 7A, and 7B. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Kramer?
Yep.
Did you want to make any comments on 6B, Janelle?
No, just ask for your support. It's to receive donations that were provided to our agency on behalf of our nurses.
Okay, thank you. And 7A, I don't know, Mr. Driscoll's on. Mr. Hanchett is. Mr. Hanchett, did you want to make any comments about 7A and B? We're combining that with 6B.
Yeah, I really don't have too much to add, but I can just give a little bit of information here. The first one, 7A, is a grant that we're accepting and amending our budget for a administration for community living grant for adult protective services. This is something that I discussed before in committee, and it's basically to provide some additional services and items for workers and for members of the community who are working with APS. 7B is $25,000 grant fund from the state for our temporary assistant for needy families. And this is for non-residential domestic violence services that we provide to members of the community. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hanchett. There's a motion.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. There's a motion on the floor to combine all three. I believe we had a second by Mr. Bruno. Is there any discussion on these three from both Janelle and Chris? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to 9. We've already covered 8. We're on to 9. It's a finance committee action is required on the following items approved by the Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committees.
I'll make those A and B. That
A.
just came through this morning.
Okay, motion made to combine both A and B, second by Mr. Thomas. Discussion. Mr. McGowan.
Yes, I was there this morning for that discussion there on number B. I just want to make sure we're still on the record that we're going to be holding off on spending that, ordering those new timers there to see what works out with the ones that we possibly be getting from eBay for our surplus.
Yep, Yeah,
Go ahead, Ms. Bramer.
thank you, Chairman. Yes, I've emailed with Mr. Colvin and the administrator during this lengthy day, and that is definitely the plan. We'll see how they go. We won't spend the money right away, and we'll give an update at next month's meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
any
would
further,
ask for your support.
thank you. Any further discussion? Here, seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we're on to number 9, or actually number 4, Roman numeral 4. Pending items. The county treasurer requested reintroduction of prior request to remove the payroll supervisor and payroll technician positions from the Civil Service Employees Association Union and the associated request for salary adjustments, which were tabled at the June 6, 2019 Personnel and Higher Education Committee. Update as Personnel Committee requested, county treasurer reached out to the CSEA for approval. This item to remain pending until personnel takes action. So that's still a pending item. There's been no action taken so far, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So any other comments? Privilege of the floor. I see no one here. So that should be short. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion by Mr. McDevitt, second by Ms. Bramer on the move. Okay, we are now